Thank you so much all for coming out this morning and for being a part of our ribbon cutting ceremony for Westerdahl Pocket Park. My name is Anna Franz. I'm the Executive Director for our West Bayfront. And I hope you all can bear with me. One of the things that our budget did not permit is electricity in the park, so we're doing this without a microphone. Can folks hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So for other speakers, just project so everyone can hear. The creation of this park is an exciting and meaningful step forward for the revitalization efforts in the West Bayfront. I'm thankful for the opportunity to share today's ribbon cutting ceremony with all of you because so many of you had a role in making this happen. Before we share a little bit of the story about how Westerdahl Park came to be, and before you have a chance to kind of walk the path, maybe donate a book to the little free library, and enjoy a treat from Pineapple Eddie's, which is a local West Bayfront favorite. I want to first acknowledge any of our local and state officials who are here today. If folks could just raise their hand. I think I saw Liz is back there, and the mayor, of course, is here. And if anybody else, okay. Thank you for being here and for being part of leading the city in this really exciting time. Mayor Schember is here as well, and I want to invite the Mayor up to say a few words.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. This is a really exciting event here today. It's wonderful to see this park, number one. You know, I was talking to Deputy Chief Mike Nolan, who's here. Where's Mike at? There he is. He grew up in this neighborhood, and he was telling me that 15 years ago, this was one of the worst areas in the city for the police. Constant drugs, shootings, and this corner was the worst corner. So this really is part of the transformation of Erie's West Bayfront. This is incredible, and the team effort that went into doing this is really awesome to me. We had the NCCC volunteers here working on that. We appreciate that. Where are the rest of you? Thank you very much. Many of the neighbors that are here with us today contributed things that you'll hear about in a moment or so as well. So it's like a really team effort. It's an important part of making our neighborhoods welcoming and vibrant, which, as you know, is one of our 5 visions. Anna, you and the group that's worked on this, which there's a list of everybody that had input on the back. I don't have time to read it all because I'm limited to 1 or 2 minutes. But I do want to thank you all. And what you are doing is helping us build opportunity, restore hope, and transform Erie. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And thank you to the city staff who also played a role in creating this park, which all of the administration is doing. I also want to acknowledge the members of the Our West Bayfront board, many of whom are here today. If board members could just raise their hands. It's quite a few folks here. Thank you for your service and volunteer time for this community. So back in April, Pat Bywater, who's here, who's a resident of the West Bayfront neighborhood, wrote an article that was very aptly headlined, "It Takes a Village to Fix a Blighted Lot." And his assessment was spot on back then, and that was even before we had so many different organizations that came together to actually construct this pocket park. Well, our pocket park might not be large in terms of square footage. The way that so many people have stepped forward to take this lot from lighted building to the beautiful park that you see this morning, I think is, to me, the most meaningful aspect of this project. One of the first people that was involved in this effort was neighbor John Reitinger, who is the kind of neighbor, sorry, a little bit of breeze. John is the kind of neighbor that you want on your street because he's got his eyes on the street. So John, I'd like to ask you to come up and say a few words from your perspective.
Thank you. I don't have any notes, so I'm just going to wing it. It seems like just 50 years ago I was here picking up milk for my mother. It was the go-to place in the neighborhood, Westerdahl's. And they were here probably for 75 years total. I did a little research last night. And I went back to the 1936 city directory. And the building was built in 1882. So from about 1940, 38, and there, the Westerdahls had owned this. And it was the go-to place for the neighborhood. Anything you needed, it was the days before the shopping center. You didn't have any money, you just wrote it down on a piece of paper. He knew where you were. You were invested in the neighborhood. And that kind of reminds me, and I dedicated a bench here to a person that was the go-to person in the neighborhood, and that was Carl Turk. He passed away about 5 years ago. I get a little choked up. But he was the go-to guy in the neighborhood. Anything you needed, you just were on Turk's door, you know. He didn't ask for anything in return, anything. If you didn't have bread, he'd give you a loaf of bread, he'd give you money to buy the bread. Members of his family are here today, his son and his grandsons. Raise your hand. The bench is dedicated in memory to him. Thank you guys, for all your help. Done a great job. And it was indeed a team effort. Hand it back to you.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much.
I don't have my notes for the
Thank you for all you've done, John. Back in February, I think it was, John helped convene a group of neighbors from this immediate area to talk about what folks want to see on this lot. One thing I heard loud and clear is that they wanted this lot to be a sign of where this neighborhood is headed, a sign of hope and progress. We were lucky to have some volunteer time, again volunteers, provided by Dave Brennan from Bostwick Design Partnership to take that input and to create really the design and the vision for what this lot would look like. So Dave, where are you? Over here somewhere. If you could just come on up, and we've got Eula who's holding the wonderful poster with actually the Dave's design for the park right there.
Great. Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here, and it was really an honor to be involved in this project and kind of help out in a little bit I could. We got the group together. There was a lot of ideas, and I think everyone just had, as Anna said, the hope is to provide something for this neighborhood, to make this neighborhood better, to see it revitalized, and to go move forward from where we're at before. There were several aspects of the park. Of course, we wanted a pathway, a stone pathway. We have the fencing, landscaping, park bench, all these elements we wanted to include. So the idea was, how do we put it together? So the group really responded, and we were able to put it all together and put something together that the whole neighborhood would enjoy. The design also includes a brick kind of curb that surrounds the site, and what that shows is the brick building that used to be here prior to the demolition that occurred. And I think the idea there is to try to remember the past and go forward with the future. There was a troubled past here, but the remembrance is the store that used to be here and how it served the neighborhood for many years. So I think that was very important for the project. But definitely the financial contributions and the volunteer work that went into this were incredible, and I think it'll shed really a shining example for future projects like this. Other neighborhoods want to do the same thing. And look at this. Look at how people kind of came together, and I think that's great for our city and great for our future. But it's very exciting to see this site brought back to productive use. And I'm so excited to see people reuse this space and enjoy it. Thank you.
Lucky to have you involved in this project, and I think it probably went in a direction that maybe you didn't even envision, but
a lot of fun.
Yeah, and the brick sort of edge that Dave described. One thing we should point out is that those are not new bricks. Our NCCC team actually salvaged those bricks from a large brick pile, I think from the old city mission building. So there's a photo of them doing just that, and that's again another nice tie to the history of this community. So the great vision and the great design is one thing, but obviously we need money to make all this happen, and we were very lucky to have many community partners, but two in particular that helped to fund the construction of the park itself. So with us today is Honey Stempka from Environment Erie, which through their vacant lot activation program provided much of the funding to make this happen, and Perry Wood from ECRA, which supported a number of the NCCC projects here in Erie. So I'm going to ask both of you to come up and say briefly a few words about your role.
So this is actually the second time this week that we're standing before a group of people to say that we are honored and delighted to be a part of such a great group of partners to activate a social space in the county of Erie that is helping to transform neighborhoods and communities. And I have to say that this wouldn't have happened without one of our essential team members at Environment Erie, Leanne Sestack, who is way over there. She's our she's our Director of Communications and Community Development, and she was really the driver behind not just this lot, but there are 4 other lots that throughout this month coming up will be unveiling in different parts of the city. And so we are honored that we were able to collaborate with not just Anna, but all of the other partners. And we are looking forward to future opportunities to continue the collaborative efforts to help revitalize and improve the quality of life, not just here in the city, but throughout the county. So thank you.
You know, I was just thinking about what this property was just not that long ago, and how long it stayed vacant after it caught on fire. It really became this kind of symbolism of apathy for the neighborhood, and the amount of momentum, the extent to which it's been transformed along with other projects, it's really kind of incredible. So I'm not going to brag about ECRA, but let's just remember that, especially the residents here, John, and the other residents, that this stuff doesn't happen on its own. That there's a lot of proactive work and leadership behind the scenes from your tremendous intermediary that you have in our West Bayfront, the board of directors, the amount of time that they spend, to the anchor institutions like Gannon University and the others, to the proactive executive leadership of the mayor, the county executive, that said we're going to use government as a tool for positive change, and the Erie Refocus Plan, which says on paper that this neighborhood is a priority to revitalize the city where we'll concentrate resources here. That's why ECRA is able to come into a neighborhood like this, because of all of you that are coming together to make a difference. So as a result, the last year we've been able to invest $450,000 into your neighborhood. So I just want to drive the point home that it's not a mistake. It's you guys that did it. So thanks, Anna. Thanks to the leadership of your board and Gannon and the other institutions. And I hope we have more projects in common in the future. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
We certainly will continue to partner with both organizations and with many others that have made this possible. So in late spring, I think it was, all these various pieces and many more kind of came together. Our West Bayfront and Bayfront East Side Task Force, Jeremy is here. Sorry. I know what I'm going to say, I don't really need the notes. We had applied to bring a NCCC team, National Civilian Community Corps team, here to Erie. So these are the folks in the white t-shirts and the gray shirt. They're missing 2 of their counterparts. We believe this is the first NCCC team to come to Erie. It's a group of the most amazing, energetic, curious, fun, open-minded, creative young adults that I think I've had the opportunity to work with in a long time. And they've split their time between the West Bayfront and the East Bayfront, working with Jeremy and his team to do vacant lot beautification as well. So we had the hands that could actually build this park. And then thankfully the final piece, the supervisor who could oversee this group, also came to us in the form of Jerry Dahlkemper from Dahlkemper Landscape Architects and Construction. So I want to give the chance to both Lily Sheffield and Jerry to come up and say a few words about the actual process of building this park.
I'll go first. I'll be real quick. We've digested an awful lot here. My only thought here is I'm going to challenge the neighborhood to make it more beautiful. There is room for improvement. A garden is an ongoing thing. It takes a lifetime. So I expect these kids, I call them kids because they're kids, but they're young adults. It was a transformation for me. I'm retired. I've been working for 45 years doing this. Now I got a bunch of kids coming that have never done this. So that was an experience for me. I enjoyed it. I hope the kids enjoy it. But I do. I challenge the neighbors. Do what you want. You want to plant some bulbs? Plant some bulbs. One of the kids had an idea, an arbor. Man, if one of the neighbors wants to build a beautiful arbor, put it there. Go for it. It's your park. Enjoy it. Do what you want with it. Bill, it's all yours.
NCCC Team Oak 11's experience in Erie has been something we won't forget anytime soon. The strong community is something unlike we've ever seen before, with leaders, activists, and everyday people alike working to make Erie a better place, as well as doing their best to ensure that people's needs are met throughout this process. The team has had the privilege of being a part of this process, working with our West Bayfront and Anna on this beautiful pocket park that was an empty lot only a short 7.5 weeks ago. And during these last few weeks, you've gotten to experience Erie at events like Celebrate Erie, Roar on the Shore, and staples like Sarah's, Waldemere, and Presque Isle. Erie is a beautiful place and community, and we wanted to thank you for welcoming us to Celebrate Erie this summer.
So much, Jerry and Lily, and to all the NCCC team members. Every time I look at this park, I'm going to think about this group and how awesome it was. Every day I would come back and check on the park and see how progress was going, and every time I came, there was something new and amazing that they had planted. I mean, literally, they cut these stones and laid them. I mean, they did so much work, and it's just been awesome to work with you all. So one thing, you kind of alluded to it, Jerry, but one thing I learned from you in this process is that the garden is never really done, right? So you said it better than I could have. We really hope that neighbors will own this space and tweak it and improve it as they wish. We hope that folks maybe saw in the invitation that we're inviting donations to the little free library that was built by Lewis Prest, who is a neighbor just up the block. Where's Lewis? Book to that little free library or another one, and apparently it's already getting a lot of activity, so those books will go read. And we're also appreciative to the contribution of Joyce Dahlkemper, who provided that beautiful painting on slate back there. The list of other partners, Gannon University, Erie Insurance, there's so many different organizations that had a hand in here, so I hope folks have that program and can read the lengthy list. But with that, I want to invite our NCCC team members, Jerry, John, Lewis, to come up and join me to actually cut this ribbon so we can go have some snacks and lemonade.
That's the easier way.
Move the podium.
Move the podium?
Oh, yeah, I want to move the podium out of the way.
Not sure I'm strong enough.
Oh, the guys can do it. Sure, that takes a better picture, doesn't it?
Got whatever you want.
You look at home.
Tell the young guys to be old guys and not stepping over. You're going under.
How low can you go? Okay.
Yep.
Ready?
Anna, get your scissors. It's you.
Ribbon. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Welcome to Westerdahl's Park.
Hey.
Dig in, folks, with the snacks back there. Delicious apple cake and lemonade and coffee. Help yourself and enjoy. Thank you so much again for being here.
I can hear you. Oh, yeah. How you doing, sir?
Justin, good to speak to the world. Thank you.
Great. Met a gentleman the week before last from your area. He's going to park the school out at Lecon in Saginaw.
Okay, Saginaw. Okay.
Yeah, Saginaw.
Yeah, I worked up there before I came here. Yeah. Pretty neat. Well, I got thank
You want to close up of the art picture?
Hey, Pat, would you take a shot of the picture? Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks. I don't know what we need to do here.
Kept calling the canvas.